no meaning here. Your pain will...
Wanted fighters to exist.
With your death, this nightmare finally ends.
I think so. Dragon struck.
Pit of infinite torture.
A contest of will.
Hello and welcome, Exiles. Today I would like to make the case for Stormbind and why I think it's one of the most underrated skills in Path of Exile, because I believe it is actually one of the strongest single target DPS burst skills you can get, along with, believe it or not, it's a 2-button skill that I think is actually really fun to play. Normally 2-button skills, a lot of people want to shy away from them. They don't feel great to play. This one I'd say actually feels pretty satisfying in my opinion. How does it work? So, the skill itself, Stormbind, it breaks down into two portions. It has the Rune Blast portion and the Stormbind portion. The Stormbind portion is the part where you place all the runes. The Rune Blast is where you charge the runes for them to blow up. You place the runes, and it won't do anything by itself. It won't blow up. It'll just disappear over time if you don't charge them. If you one-tap a charge, it'll then blow up all the runes. And the way it works is you can actually charge the runes up to 3 times. Every time you empower the rune, is how it is phrased, it gets 100% more damage, and it does 30% more AoE. But where this gets interesting is you can actually charge more than one rune more than one time with just one cast. It is about how much your mana cost is. So where this skill says normally it would take a while to charge these all up like this, you said that took a decent amount of time. If I were to place the runes, proc Arcane Surge, Arcane Cloak with an Indigon, my mana cost of this skill would go way up. You'll see 22 instead of 307, and you'll see how much faster that full charges, allowing you to actually essentially like one-tap your runes and get full charge blasts by using something like an Indigon. Previously, you could do a hybrid setup where you're not necessarily doing Indigon, where you're just scaling the mana cost with something like Voidbringer, where they could add a bunch of flat to channel skills. That's no longer a thing, but even without that, it does feel pretty good with Indigon, in my opinion, with a Hierophant sort of ascendancy. And all in all, it is a 2-button playstyle, but the reason I feel like it's more satisfying than most 2-button playstyles is it's just some of the chunkiest, girthy explosions, and on top of the runes being improved and being able to deal more damage, they can shotgun. So say I am a monster and I'm standing right here in the middle of these runes. All of these runes are going to shotgun. I think it's possible for sure to get 16 rune overlap depending on where the boss is standing. It might be possible to get a 25 rune overlap. It really depends how much AoE you have. I'm just guessing based on the visual of the skill itself of how far I think the skill is hitting away from where the rune is placed. You can make your own estimations, but point is, when I go to attack a boss, I place these runes, I charge them up, it hits really hard, and it's quite satisfying in my opinion while using it. I know you notice I'm using a Herald of Ice for this build. This isn't really a good use of reservation space. There's much better 25% reservations than Herald of Ice, but I'm still using it because I like the aesthetics of the explosion while clearing a map. Don't judge me. Alright, I'll give you guys a quick showcase of what the skill looks like. I'm not trying to make this a very long video, as this character is only level 86. I haven't really min-maxed, or what's the word, fine-tuned the build. I want to level this character up a lot more. I want to play it more, get used to the feeling of the playstyle and stuff, but I've been enjoying the skill enough, and I want to make a video about it because I think it doesn't get much respect, even though it is a quite fun skill to play. And people are worried about the 2-button playstyle, in terms of like how clunky it is. I would say one of the benefits this skill has, it's a very fast casting skill. It's not like a regular casting skill where the base cast time is, I don't know, 0.7 or 0.8 or whatever it is, right? It casts very quickly. So it's not like a slow to get damage out sort of thing. It's pretty instantaneous of, I don't know, you place the runes and you blow up the runes in like quick succession. Hopefully I'm showcasing that well here while I'm running around this map. But it's definitely still not going to be the greatest at clear, but I don't think you should undersell it and say, oh, this thing sucks for clear and it's overly awkward. That being said, I am greatly benefiting from the indigon for scaling my mana cost. I will showcase a map after this without indigon to showcase the difference. It's going to be a lot lower damage. Obviously, this is a skill you want indigon, so there is that specific issue. But while I was leveling it, it didn't feel bad to use per se. And pretty much you're doing stuff like this. Whenever the boss comes up, you'll trigger your arcane cloak. He'll go to do his phase. And then you just go for some more shotgun hits to finish him off, and then you're really not dead yet. I was actually surprised he survived that long. It's probably just the damage reduction of Drox, and I wasn't really min-maxing the explosions. But anyways, that's what it looks like with an indigon, where you do scale your cost, and then the runes charge faster because of it. In contrast, I will also give you a showcase of what it looks like without an indigon. Okay, I just realized I didn't have a helmet ready to showcase the comparison, but so I went and got out a Mind Spiral. Mind Spiral, basically just a nice little mana helmet, has some gain as extra, has some mana, nothing too special about it, but this is just to showcase that the skill can be played without the indigon ramp, essentially for the scenario where you're leveling. Now granted, my character is entirely balanced around indigon. I've planned around percent damage scaling from indigon, so I barely have any percent damage scaling on my tree. It's pretty much just like this, and like a little bit of this, and a little bit of that. It's not a lot of percent damage scaling, so the damage is going to be much, much worse because I am bricking my damage to do this. So I'm just going to showcase a T15 map. The reason I'm doing this is to showcase that you can play this build without the extra, basically, mana cost from indigon, essentially for leveling. Like, you want to use indigon in the long term. Like, you want to plan around getting the indigon around level whatever it is, 60, 70, whatever it is. But this is just to showcase that the build does function if you were to level as Stormbind. Like, you don't need the cost in order to just do normal base content. Now, granted, when you're doing that, you want to have a tree that has some level of percent damage scaling. You can't just go and level with no percent damage scaling and have just a full indigon tree. You do want to have some level of percent damage scaling, and then roughly use the 10 to 15, whatever normal regrets you get without doing the extra side quests to respec out of the damage to then go back to indigon when you want to actually play the character. But it still works fine to basically just have base level runes, just the no charge ones, and then blow them up. They still can shotgun with enough AoE, and they still can kill most packs, most monsters. And then if you get to a tankier rare, charge the runes a little bit, proc your arcane cloak to deal a little bit more damage, right? That's the idea. I don't know why. I don't know if this was necessary to showcase or not, but I decided to showcase it regardless. Ooh. Hey, I froze all the bosses. That's kind of cool. I'm also using a 50% conversion with the this node here. So it's 50% cold and 50% lightning, and the reason they all froze right there is because I have this node, which gives us a little bit better chance to freeze because it has 200% freeze enemies that are dealing 200% more damage, and that's why I was able to freeze all those guys there. Granted, I almost got shotgunned to death because I was standing still in the middle of them, not really playing that too smart, but the freeze saved us, so that was kind of nice. Anyways, that was just to showcase that you can play it without indigon in terms of leveling. Obviously, after you get to 69, I wholly recommend equip indigon, play with indigon. It's how you get the good damage scaling. Am I gonna die to skeletons right now while I'm not paying attention? I didn't even know these guys were here. They came out of nowhere to try to snipe me while I was swapping out my helmets. Anyways, that is my case for why I think Stormbind is very underrated and actually quite a good skill. And I fully am excited about actually speccing this build out a little bit more and seeing what it can do after I level it up and actually get a little bit more used to the playstyle, stuff like that. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoy this video about Stormbind. As always, take care, Exiles, and peace out.